At first, the Champions League was simply known as the European Cup. The competition was founded by Gabriel Hanot and Jacques Ferran in 1955. The idea was to put the top clubs in the continent against each other for the right to be crowned the champions of Europe. The participating clubs in the first 5 seasons of the European Cup were selected by the French football magazine on the basis that they were representative and prestigious clubs in Europe. When the tournament started, Real Madrid, Anderlecht, Milan, Rot-Weiss Essen, Stade de Reims, the Garden and AGF were the reigning champions of their respective national leagues. English champions Chelsea initially agreed to compete and were drawn against Swedish side De Garden. However, under pressure from the English Football League, who saw the tournament as a distraction to domestic football, they later withdrew from the competition and were replaced soon after by a Polish team. The original number of teams that could qualify for the competition was only 16. Because of this, the competition would go straight to the knockout stages, meaning there was no room for error. The first European Cup was won by Real Madrid, who beat Stade de Reims 4-3 in a final. The name and the way the competition was run was changed in 1992. The European Cup became the Champions League, and the amount of teams that could enter went from 16 to 32. Because of this decision, UEFA put 4 teams into a group stage where each team would play each other twice to qualify for the final round of 16 knockout stages. And for the past 20 years, this is what football fans have been used to. Fast forward to 2021, and something called the Super League emerges. Proposals for the creation of a new Super League competition for European clubs started in 1968 by then UEFA General Secretary Hans Bangerter to replace the European Champions Cup and the Cup Winners' Cup, and form the European Football League Championship, a unique club competition combining group and knockout matches. The idea was quickly rejected by the rest of the UEFA Executive Committee, although unfortunately the idea of the European Super League emerged 41 years later when the Real Madrid president Florentino Perez commenced plans for a Super League competition, as he thought that the Champions League was simply just too obsolete and problematic for the quality of the sport, and was an obstacle preventing clubs from growing their businesses and developing infrastructure. In 2018, Perez began discussions with other clubs in Europe, mostly clubs from within Spain, England and Italy, about the idea of a breakaway competition that would also provide strong financial backing for all the clubs involved. The clubs who participated in the discussions, conducted in secret, were primarily focused on exploring options for the new league, unless UEFA produced new reforms for the Champions League that would be considered as acceptable for them as well. The need for a new competition increased in 2020 as big-name football clubs began to suffer financially due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Especially with ongoing debts, Perez's Real Madrid was amongst those hardest hit financially by the pandemic in Spain, which led to him advancing the concept into realisation. The new competition eventually drew interest from American investment banking giant JP Morgan Chase, which pledged $5 billion towards its formation. In April 2021, Perez announced the Super League was set to happen, with all 12 clubs set to follow with their own announcements shortly after. These clubs included English clubs like Liverpool, Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea, Tottenham Hotspur and Arsenal. Italian clubs Inter Milan, AC Milan and Juventus. And then Spanish clubs Real Madrid, FC Barcelona and Atletico Madrid.
Sunday night, wasn't it? It was a Sunday night Twitter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a Sunday night, tweets came through, and depending on who you follow, news broke that way, didn't it?
And sort of information was getting leaked slowly before it was like officially announced.
I mean, you two have more of a right to have been not annoyed, even stronger than that, appalled by the thing, being fans of clubs who opted into this thing. I have, I was going, on earth this nonsense all about, but as a Plymouth fan, they're not getting an invite anytime soon, are they?
Well, that was the problem with it. No one was getting an invite. It was the clubs that were in it, and that's it. The locked door.
Yeah.
Throw away the key.
Yeah.
You're in it. No one else can join, and it's not. How's that fair?
It's a difficult one though, isn't it? I think you. It's almost like when the Premier League was sort of first brought in, and I think a lot of the fans. It was slightly different, in the sense that it wasn't just happening. Didn't happen overnight like it did with the Super League. But I think is sometimes something brand new a bad thing, or do you think it was just the way it was dealt with? Do you think this is generally a bad decision?
No, well, for starters,
that's the thing, isn't it? There are two sides to this.
It was clandestine, wasn't it? clubs had signed into this thing, but hadn't told anyone. That's the worst thing about it. Until someone went, right, we've got enough now. We can now announce something, and fans are going, this is the first I've heard of this. My team is doing this, and this is the first I've heard about it. I think the owners just didn't realise just how much people would hate this. They honestly, they must have only thought, fans will love this. Fans will love this. We're going to create this league, and your team are going to play Barcelona and Real Madrid weekly, and they're going to love it. They didn't quite realise just how ingrained and traditionalists football fans
But
are.
I think a lot of people thought these teams would only be doing that. They were still going to be doing that in their domestic leagues.
Yeah.
Albeit the Premier League said if you do join the Super League, you're not going to be able to play
Yeah.
domestic football. But it wasn't like they were just going off to play European football every week. It still would have been both, and it would just like playing the Champions League, which ironically we've seen the changes to the Champions League in 2024. It's going to be one big league. What a surprise! So it's no.
At least it's finally living up to its name.
Yeah, true.
Why was it even called the league in the first place?
More
And
teams.
Champions. The year it got changed from European Cup to Champions League, champions were not the only teams invited, and it wasn't a league. I mean, it was a stupid name, the branding of that.
But again, you get the frustration of football fans. I think every single time you change something, that you're going to get the traditionalists.
No one likes change, do they?
Exactly, that's
Yeah.
it. And especially in football, which is almost born on traditions, isn't it? I think that's why we love the game, and it's that kind of those teams kind of getting promoted and relegated. It's that kind of chance to kind of dream of being the biggest team.
That's the beauty of football.
Yeah,
but in Luggan FC
could get there.
Could get to the Champions League final.
Yeah.
They won't, but that's the whole dream, isn't it? And to have a closed, or it was like an invite-only thing, wasn't it? There would be new teams in there, but it wouldn't be earned. It would be, hey, here's an invitation. Your club is now owned by billionaire people. You want more money? Here's an invite to the Super
Newcastle.
League. Not even earned. Not even earned.
It's the rich getting richer, and the poor getting poorer. Quite simple, really.
Have UEFA, because I know it was this week, but I haven't read the news, they were going to agree if the coefficient rule came into play, weren't they? Where you could, the discussion that brought the Super League about was big clubs didn't want to not get into the Champions League, and UEFA said we might look at something where you're good, because that is just the most bonkers thing.
So
where
basically,
you've done 5 years ago shouldn't count for anything.
We'd be right there as Arsenal. I'm all for that. So
It's just it should be earned. It should be. I mean, I can see. I mean, I'm sure that's why the Conference League is now here, because it's just a way of trying to get these clubs at least into some European competition.
well, it's extra revenue as well, isn't it? I think that's where all of these competitions are going, aren't they? It's how do we bring more money in, and also it's
without annoying everyone.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So I think it's a challenging one, though, isn't it? I think sometimes change is good, and I think it's going through those motions and processes to kind of get to an endpoint after maybe 5 years of being in that situation. Who knows? The Super League could have been this amazing, great thing, and it still might be in the future. I'm not completely closed on it, though. I think why not have something completely different?
I can see it being how the Champions League might end. Like you said, it's going to be a league. I can see, but that still has like the top 16 teams, but the bottom two go out, and what is now the champion, or the Europa League, becomes the winners of that. Goes into that league. I mean, it has to be something like that. There has to be a route where your domestic league and then a European competition here then gains access to that. And the bottom two have to go. Do you remember, it was Bolton, I think, the Bolton chairman about 10 years ago went for, shouldn't the Premier League be a closed thing? I think years ago, I think it was Bolton, I might be completely wrong with this, but he came up with the idea of writing to the FA saying it should be a closed league, American owner obviously, where they just, you cannot lose, you cannot go. And they laughed at a suggestion, a closed league. Bolton are now in League One. So they were hoping that would put off. It was the whole closed system.
Well, I think the one good thing to come out of it was all the football fans come together.
I just love the fact that even though fans of Liverpool and Manchester United and teams like that would have guaranteed it, they still see the just in, if you're not good enough, you shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
When actually saying, this is brilliant, we can never lose, we can always be in this top league. I can see why it came about, because the architects, Real Madrid, you can argue that some teams have outgrown their league. Madrid and Barcelona have probably outgrown the Spanish league, so you can see why they would be looking for some next step. Premier League, you've still got 6, 7, 8 big clubs, haven't you? Mm-hmm. And actually, there isn't a closed shop there. It's a closed shop in France, more or less, isn't it? For PSG, they've outgrown the French league, or they've got too much money for the French league. Yeah. But you can see why. There's still 2 clubs in it, isn't there? Real Madrid and
Yeah,
Juventus are still involved in this.
Still plucking
Everyone
away.
else has gone sorry, and they've gone, no, this is the future. They're holding on to this thing, which is bizarre. But you can see why. I can see why. But Juventus haven't outgrown the Italian league, have they?
Well, AC Milan.
AC Milan,
AC Milan.
yeah.
Inter as well. They're like 4th or 5th, aren't they?
Struggling this season.
Yeah, I think we're in a lucky position in England where we do have that rotational system where we've got, obviously City and Liverpool are there now, but a few years ago it was obviously Chelsea United, Arsenal United. So we have had that kind of rotation of different. Obviously Newcastle potentially coming into it in the future. So
it's also got a lot to do with debt.
Yeah.
Not just cash. It's how much these clubs, Juventus especially, are
Yeah.
in debt. And this Barcelona, this was the only way probably of
getting that revenue,
guaranteeing that you would not go.
Well, that was a lot of their sort of justification for it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We just had a pandemic. We need, the clubs are losing a lot of money. Everyone thinks
let's throw football in the trash can
I don't think,
because of COVID.
I don't think people realise how much these football clubs do lose a week though. Like they make money. They rarely turn over a profit. All these big clubs.
Yeah.
So you can see why the owners wanted it, especially the American ones, because that's obviously what they're used to, isn't it? The sort of
see how much it costs
the
to watch
closed
Arsenal.
leagues.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
See how much it costs to watch them get 4th. For heaven's sake.
It's worth it though.
It's 20 quid to watch Argyle. 20 quid.
Well, yeah, exactly. So it's a struggle, isn't it? And I think actually having something brand new that fans can kind of look to it could have been something which is really good. It's just the way I think they went about it in the sense of it just being leaked out. It's involving the fans in that process and probably maybe making them feel that they've made the decision in many respects of how you kind of go about it. But
also, if the Super League had been devised in, say, 1978, Nottingham Forest would have been there and would still be there now. So looking back at it in 50 years' time, you'd say, how did these teams get into the Super League again? Well, they were the best teams in 2021. That is your only argument. They were the richest and biggest teams in 2021, and that's how it is.
Yeah.
What a bizarre way of doing things. Just ridiculous. That was enough, wasn't it?
yeah,
We could do this all night, couldn't we? All in all, shit. Super League, bunch of shite. Edit that out.
Yeah, I know, edit that. Just cut the rest.
Edit that out.
just have that.
Just have that.
Just have it, yeah. Sums it up perfectly.
Yeah.
Crock of crap.
By starting their own Super League, Europe's most popular clubs hope to create a system that mirrors more to American pro sports, a league with a set number of teams that need not worry about being relegated after a bad season. And, more importantly, they get to keep the riches for themselves. The initial reactions from the fans was extremely negative, with many fans protesting from all over the world, many calling the Super League the death of football. Once fans realised the Super League was here to stay, protests started to happen across the world. Some were violent and others were peaceful, but the one that made owners listen the most was when thousands of Manchester United supporters staged a protest against the team's owners outside of Old Trafford before their Premier League clash with Liverpool. They demanded that the Glazer family get out of the club. While things were happening outside of the stadium, United fans managed to break into Old Trafford to send their owners a much bigger message. The level of anger prompted the UK's government into action. Oliver Dowden, the Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport, posted on Twitter, "Football supporters are the heartbeat of our national sport, and any major decisions made should have their backing." Because of the major backlash from fans all across the world, on 20th of April at 7 p.m, Chelsea had publicly signalled their intention to withdraw from the Super League after chairman Bruce Muck met with the players. 30 minutes later, Manchester City formally commenced procedures to withdraw from the Super League. Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur followed soon after, whilst Chelsea was the last English club to formally announce its withdrawal in the early hours of 21st of April. That same day, Atletico Madrid, Inter Milan and AC Milan confirmed their exits. 3 days into its founding, 9 of the 12 clubs had announced their plans to withdraw, with just Juventus, Barcelona and Real Madrid remaining. Each club was fined £130 million up front. After a terrible attempt at trying to form their own closed shop, football clubs wrote apologies directly aimed towards the fans. This action still didn't change the fact that the owners of these big football clubs were starting to show their true intentions.
surroundsound.com.